Welcome to Downpipe Day. So today we're going to be installing the APR downpipe and midpipes on PTRS. The reason why I went with APR is just the quality, the craftsmanship, you know, cats, transitions, which are really simple, and this is also a 4-inch diameter, consistent radius. No transitions right out of the turbo. So for what I'm doing, 9-second daily driver, it's perfect. And so one step closer, time to get to work. All right, we're all good up top. You gotta take out the oxygen sensors, the intake, and then just basically undo the V-band bolt, and then now we're ready to go underneath. Relatively simple up top. And look, downpipes are right there. It's gonna be easy, right? One thing to note is if you're going to do this the recommended way, which is to disconnect the steering column. I don't know if you guys can see that. I actually disconnected the steering column from the rack. Just kind of, you know, hold your wheel in place either with some tape, or if you have one of these cool tools that kind of helps to put pressure on the bottom of the wheel, it'll really help. And then there's just a 13mm bolt. I can't show you guys because I'm too far away, but there's a 13mm bolt on the column shaft, and that's it. You take that out, and then you're all good from up top after you do everything in the engine bay. So now we go underneath. Progress update. We have mid-pipes out. Didn't break much. I did manage to break the studs on the factory mid-pipes, but it's okay because I can replace them. I broke the first one and then started thinking about it and just said screw it and just yeeted the rest of them. Why not, right? And so now what I did next is I kind of scribed the bolts on the control arm, ball joints. I'm gonna take these off, and then because I've undone the steering column, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna undo the subframe connectors, I'm gonna undo the dog bone, and then with the tranny jack, I'm gonna like lower this down maybe 4 or 5 inches with the rack and everything. And so then I could likely get the drive shaft out of the way and lower the downpipe out with as little drama as possible. The subframe is ready to come out now, or just drop down. Basically 2 transmission bolts, and then the 4 bolts holding in the subframe, and then I'm going to take the tranny jack that currently has the Haldex system for the GTI on it, and take that off. I put that under here, and then basically what I'm going to do is lower the subframe like 4 or 5 inches or so, and that'll give us enough room to sneak the downpipe out. It's still really dark up there, but downpipe is still, you know, it's way up in there. Yeah, you can't see anything. But yeah, 4 bolts. There's one up there. There's one right here, and then one way up there. And then subframe will be out, and then comes the fun thing of dislodging the drive shaft. Whether I'm going to use the special tool or not, I don't know. I bought it, but might not need it. I've heard you could do it with just a couple of pry bars off of the kind of like the snub of the drive shaft. So we'll see when we get there. But I'm gonna get the help of my dad to get the subframe down safely and make sure I don't yank anything down in the process. Gotta make sure I unplug the rack, don't forget. All right, here we are. Old, new. This giant cat is going bye-bye. These two cats are going bye-bye. Off-road use only, obviously. In favor of this. Isn't it pretty? So, a little bit about what we did. So, you know, because we took the route of dropping the subframe, it allows us to leave the drive shaft in the car, allows us to leave the exhaust in the car. You know, some other methodologies are drop the exhaust, drop the drive shaft at its entirety, and then make work of it. But we decided to try this route, which is just kind of carefully prying on this edge with pry bars. You know, being careful not to de-seat this or do any damage to the transfer case. And then that allows us to kind of rock the motor forward. And when you rock it forward, you can rotate the downpipe out. And then now it's basically just, you know, Lego blocks, reassemble. The one thing that you do have to account for if you do it this way is that there are a lot of torque to yield bolts. The bolts that hold the subframe in, the bolts that hold the subframe connectors, the control arm nuts, they're all suggested to be replaced upon use. And you know, I know a lot of guys out there that'll be like, oh well, I've rerun them and it's been fine, but you know, better safe than sorry. You know, subframe is a structural member of the car, and in an accident, you know, torque to yield versus not torque to yield bolt that is supposed to be torque to yield and is already stretched can mean the difference between saving your life or not. So, you know, the couple of bucks it costs to replace them is worth it in my mind. And, you know, because these are replaceable bolts and they need to be replaced, they're pretty accessible. The dealer had them to me in like a couple of days. So, yeah. So now, reassembly. All right, so everything is buttoned up. We've got the mid pipes and we got the downpipe, which I don't know if you can see. Let me grab a light. And it's really tucked in there when it's all buttoned up. So downpipe is in. I just have to go upstairs and tighten the V-band and put in the oxygen sensors, and then it's time for a first start. Pumped.